Welcome back to Radio Taiwan International. You're listening to Geek Out. What's your cup of tea? Tickles your fancy or floats your boat? Join us as we share passions from people in Taiwan and around the world. I'm your host, Michelle Chang, and today in the studio we have back Max McCurdy.
Hi there.
And Julie Kawamura.
Hello.
To talk about something that I really love. What are we geeking out about today?
Oh, well, I guess we're going to be geeking about my hometown state of Hawaii.
Yes. Oh, goodness. I miss that place with every piece of my soul.
But I mean, Taiwan has great beaches too.
But to compare? Okay, look, okay. All right, well, first, I think a lot of people have been to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. I think it's an entirely different thing to be born and grow up there.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. So, well, first of all, which island? Because there are many.
Yes, there are technically eight islands in the state of Hawaii. I was born and raised in the main island, Oahu, which is where Honolulu is. Yeah. Everybody knows that place. The other islands are as memorable because, of course, you know,
they all have their own flavor, I believe.
Yes, they do. So the big island or the main island of Hawaii is, of course, the volcano island, right? And then there's Maui, which unfortunately had that huge wildfire. Oh, yes, so indeed. Praying for them.
Indeed.
And Kauai.
Chickens.
Yes, chickens.
The garden island, right?
Yes, the garden island. And in fact, their chickens have migrated to the other parts of the island. So now if you go to a McDonald's on Oahu, there are going to be little live McNuggets walking around in the drive-thru.
Oh no, they're everywhere.
Yes, now they are everywhere, but they're still loved.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's part of the experience, I think. Mm-hmm. Being woken up at 5 a.m. by roosters.
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
It's good. They're working for you because if you're awake at 5 a.m., you can get up out the door and do some cool stuff.
I mean, yes, Hawaii is an awesome place to live.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I was only visiting, on the island of Kauai, there's I'm sorry if I slaughter the words, but there's an area called Queen's Bath up on the northern coast. Mm-hmm. And I went there just, because it's one of the touristy things that you do. There's a little bit of a hike, guys. Be careful. Yes. When you get to that coast, there are many tide pools, and they're actually quite dangerous. Yes. Because, the ocean is a little bit unpredictable. Mm-hmm. And so you could get bashed up on the rocks. Please don't swim. Mm-hmm. And there's a little pool called Queen's Bath. But before you get there, I saw these youths. I'm just going to call them youths like I'm an old person.
Young people.
Young people. They're teenagers. Couldn't have been more than 16. Mm-hmm. And they were just leaping into this frothing, crazy ocean. Just terrifying sea.
Yep. Diving off cliffs.
Right.
That's kind of what you do from when you're 12 to 16 before you realize
that you're not bulletproof.
Yeah, that you're not bulletproof. And even if you do realize it, you just jump back up again and you do it again.
But I do imagine living there is a very different experience than living in, growing up in a city.
Yes, in this. Well, I mean, even on Oahu, doing things like that. I didn't live in downtown Honolulu. I was born and raised sort of in outside of Honolulu, right? In a neighborhood area, like a
suburb.
A suburb, yes, thank you. My words. So I grew up there, and that was actually fairly close to the North Shore. It's a lot more rural. So I would say that compared to Kauai, it's sort of the same. Ah. So we did also have cliff diving crazies.
Yep. Absolutely. Amazing. I mean, if you grow up with the ocean like that, I imagine that you can read it much better.
Oh, yes, for sure. And of course, you have the local people who are your uncles and aunties, as you call everybody.
I love about the culture there. It is island culture. Everything runs on island time, very similar to Taipei, or Taiwan, I should say, in general. Yes. But it's like everybody's family.
Oh, yes, everybody's family.
Everybody's family. It's like, and in fact, you just call people uncle.
Yep, everybody's an uncle, everybody's an auntie. And if us as kids after school decide to take a bus up to the North Shore and hang out at the beach, then we know that all the older local people would take care of us.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. It's very community feeling.
Oh, yeah, very community.
I mean, when I went to visit, you guys can't see me, but I look Asian. and so does my husband,
You
Chuck.
you guys look very local.
Yes, we're fairly tan. So when we arrived in Hawaii, people would speak to us in pidgin.
Yep.
In Hawaiian pidgin, which was great. I loved it. I love that so much, but I could not respond in kind.
It does take some getting used to.
Yeah.
I guess it's similar to like here in Taiwan. If you know, if
Look
you
local.
Yeah, or like if you are brought up learning basic strict Mandarin, and then of course, obviously Taiwanese people do speak Mandarin, but it's a different type of Mandarin.
Yeah, it's even just speaking actual Mandarin. There's a Taiwanese accent, and then there's actual Taiwanese.
Oh yes.
Which is I can't understand even though I speak Mandarin. So yeah, very different. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I intend on retiring and why I love it there so much is because I landed and immediately felt included.
Oh yes, it's really easy.
Yeah. On the other side of the coin, though, I have had friends visit who might not have looked local, and then they've experienced a decent amount of xenophobia.
Huh.
I mean,
would you like to chime in on that, Max?
was that something that was like that bothered you when you were?
I can't say that I've ever experienced that directly. Most of my experiences in Hawaii have been either with Julie in a local community,
Right.
Or prior to meeting Julie, I had been to Hawaii a few times, but on a resort.
Oh yeah.
Which is a very carefully manicured and choreographed
Actually,
experience.
you and your family were on Maui at one point too, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So they were staying at was it the resort? They were staying on Maui as well.
It was a resort, but those two scenarios, I never really ventured off grounds by myself, so I didn't come face to face with anything too
Daunting.
jarring
I
too
see.
jarring or too daunting. But it does happen. People
Yeah.
in Hawaii are very proud of their islands, right?
Yeah, and the heritage.
And
yes.
of course, if you actually this isn't taught in the U.S. mainland history class, but Hawaii was annexed against their will.
Growing up in Hawaii is you learn a lot about Hawaiian history.
Absolutely.
A lot about Hawaiian history. American history, not so much.
Wherever you grow up, though, you learn a lot of.
Kind of like
You learn
it's
a
like,
lot
why
of
do we have
history.
4th of July? Anyways. But yeah, so what basically happened was Hawaii is, of course, a tropical island or tropical islands. And
Polynesian.
Polynesia, yes.
Polynesian, yeah.
And it was, of course, revered for their soil and plantations.
Right.
So whoever had the most plantations, of course, were the wealthiest. And the wealthy plantation owners thought that it would be a good idea to have the security of it and being under a more
The U.S. government.
yes, the U.S. government's rule in a sense, other than like this kingdom where they don't know what's going to happen to it.
I see.
So they sort of pushed that. This is like a very broad, loosely based historical.
Yeah, of course. So it's
thing.
a rich people. It was hashtag eat the rich.
yeah.
situation.
It was basically like it first got basically annexed, and the queen at the time, Liliuokalani, got basically dethroned from that. She still maintained her title, but she no longer had the power. Kind of
Right.
like in Japan, where
And
the
she
emperor
was kind
doesn't
of
have.
imprisoned for a while on
Yes.
her property grounds. And
Yes,
stuff.
on Iolani Palace.
That's actually a really cool place to visit if you go to Hawaii and just take a look at where she lived.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's a especially on Oahu. There's a lot of historical artifacts and a lot of walking tours about the history there. A lot of people will know a lot about the history there. People who grew up. Yeah. And then from there they kept pushing and pushing, and it wasn't until Pearl Harbor actually when World War II happened.
Yeah.
Where they actually soon after that decided, because it was such a strategic
Naval location.
that they decided to bring it in as a state.
Yeah. Military.
Which we do have a lot of in Hawaii as well.
It's
Because like
imagine being posted there though, if you are in the military and you just happen to be lucky enough to pull that location.
it's the number one it's the number one place where a lot of the military ask for just before they retire.
Oh, of course.
So that would be like their last post before they
Right.
retire. So they can retire
in Hawaii.
in Hawaii, exactly. So yeah, it does happen a lot, and if you are military and you do end up going to Hawaii, there's a huge community group even for that. Like the local community is
Oh, yeah.
extremely supportive of the,
Oh, that's
of the
nice.
local military.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service, military men. But it's but
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Of the islands, how many have we been to collectively? Is it all of them?
There's a few that you can't really go
Oh,
to.
that's true, of course.
Well, technically there's 2 of the 8. You definitely cannot go there unless you are invited, and that is the island of Niihau.
Yeah.
It's owned by the Robinson family. And currently, the main reason why is they have, I can't remember the name of it, but they do have like a social experiment, I guess, going on
Oh,
where
interesting.
the population that lives there, it's like 300 some people, small kids and to elderly, they speak only Hawaiian.
Oh, wow.
And they have like their own community where they do things in the ancient Hawaiian way. I mean, of course, they have clothes and electricity and things like that, but they try to maintain their culture and especially the language.
That's actually admirable. Besides that, okay, so Ni'io and then
Lanai.
yes.
Lanai
Yeah,
is
Lanai,
Lanai is a small island. It's just off of Maui. You can kind of like see it from there. It's literally like a big island that is is just like a big mound of dirt.
Oh, is it?
I mean, that's
Nothing's on there.
that's a nice pleasant way to say it. But there is golf course there.
Oh, okay. So
And
you
a
can go there.
Marriott.
And a Marriott. That's it.
Basically. So if you want to go, and goats. So if you want to
Go golfing.
go golfing with goats on the Marriott,
I
that
would
be
imagine they're
perfect.
great lawnmowers, so you know.
Yes, and it was actually one of the last places, I believe. I can't remember this, but it's one of the few places where they actually had still grown pineapple up until the Dole Canneries company basically had left in the 80s, 90s.
I mean, Dole Plantation is still there, so you can go there and eat the
Yes,
ice cream.
but it's not there commercially
Yeah.
to actually harvest the
Yeah.
pineapple anymore. Unfortunately, and sugar cane left like after the 90s and the 2000s.
So, you know, I think the Hawaii's a major the economic
They're a major economic export or import.
it's just tourism, right?
Yep, it's tourism. Tourism is a majority. We don't really have a decent agricultural aspect anymore. We do have beef that's on the island of Hawaii.
Dude, I've seen them. The grazeland is just that is
Parker Ranch is huge.
it's amazing. They have a view of the ocean and everything. I mean, talk about happy cows.
It's beautiful. It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Hawaii is one of the few places domestically in the U.S. where they do grow tea.
Oh,
yeah.
There
And
are
It is
coffee.
a high
And
argument.
actually,
and coffee, of course,
coffee.
famously
Yes, Kona
Kona
coffee.
coffee. But they are trying to make some inroads into growing fine tea on the Big Island as well. It's still very, very
Young.
micro production,
Yeah.
so cost prohibitive for anyone who's not a total nerd
Yeah.
for tea. But hopefully in the future we'll see production expand and
That
have
is
domestic tea.
Yeah,
coming
that
from
is true.
Hawaii.
Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa are high enough mountains. Like here in Taiwan, they have high mountain tea,
Right.
which is 5,000 meters. No,
Oh no.
2,000 meters, something like that. I can't remember.
Fairly high altitude.
Fairly high altitude, yes. And what they're trying to do now, because Mauna Kea and Mauna Loa are among that mountain range height, they're trying to grow tea up there as well as coffee.
So, as far as things to do, if listeners want to go to Hawaii, is there anything that isn't, or I guess is off the beaten trail, like things that people don't know to do
Well,
Things that they don't know to do that they should do.
that they should do?
Things that they don't know to do that they probably should stay away from. Which there are many, I think.
Well, questions that people ask me when they realize that I'm from Hawaii and I grew up in Hawaii. One is where to go surfing.
Oh yeah.
2 is where to go hiking.
Oh.
And 3, what to eat.
Oh, what to eat is definitely always on my list of questions to ask people when they're from a place.
Yeah, so where to go surfing? Depending on the island, I would probably say the North Shores can be scary in the winter. All North Shores.
Those are big waves.
Yeah, because of basically, you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and it's the only rock that these waves are hitting in this huge vast ocean. So
I mean, that's in the winter. That's where they have a lot of water sport competitions for
yes,
surfing. It's amazing.
I will say, from my experience as a complete novice surfer, that I think my impression before taking lessons or doing anything like that. My impression was that you needed big waves in order to surf.
Oh no.
You do not need
Tiny
rip
itty
curl
bitty.
5-foot swells.
Pretty sure I would die.
So there's a lot of places as a beginner that you can go to surf on Hawaii. Even if it doesn't look that promising from the shoreline, you will still learn a lot from getting into the water and practicing on less
Choppy water,
less picturesque waves.
Because
let's
when we
say.
picture waves, it's like those 10-foot big ones.
Yes, the big walls.
You don't need to
yes.
start on
No.
those. You don't need
Like
to go anywhere near them.
pipeline. No,
Please don't do that.
please do not do that.
You
Yes.
don't. It will be a waste of time, I think, as an amateur to do that.
Right. I do like watching the jet ski guys, like the emergency dudes that
Oh my
follow.
gosh,
They're out there
that's-
on the water in order
Yeah.
to help, their emergency
Oh yes.
rescue people.
Yes, they're emergency rescue people for those who basically get clobbered by the waves. Yes, we see those a lot too, and they're actually very strong swimmers and
dude.
strong people. They have to be. But I would probably say, like for surfing, North Shore, not in the winter. In the summertime is pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice in the summer.
Yeah, in the summer and fall, North and South Shores are pretty good. East and West are, they're not that. I mean, they're okay.
So where to hike?
Where to hike? Well, Hawaii, all islands in Hawaii do have
Mountains.
Well, yes, they do have mountains, but they also do have wild boar.
Oh,
So you need to be careful when
Oh.
when walking and hiking.
I mean, I've seen tracks before actually. When I've
Oh,
been
really?
out. Yeah. They're pretty obvious. They're the cloven hoof
Yeah,
track,
they're
right?
the cloven hoofs.
So I've seen. At the time when I went, there were big ones and little ones. So
Yes.
the guide was like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
so we're going to be real
No.
careful.
Yes, because moms are extremely protective of
Yeah.
their babies. Yes, and they don't care. They will basically just try to.
Gore you, right?
Yeah,
I would
they
imagine.
will attack you regardless because they're protecting their babies.
But the tiny footprints are so cute.
Yeah, they're really cute. They are really cute from afar. So if anywhere you go hiking, two things is one, yes.
Don't go by yourself. I'm
Yes,
gonna
don't.
say.
Oh, yes, very sure, very, very much sure. Yeah, don't go by yourself. And two, just be aware of your surroundings. Ask a guide or somebody who knows the area very well,
Indeed,
and research.
absolutely.
Yeah, and if people say, okay, so if you're like not a local, if you are visiting and people are like, oh yeah, this place is great, but you look online and they're like, yeah, it's kind of dangerous, be careful. I would, unless you are like a very seasoned hiker, I would listen to what the
Err on the side of caution.
yeah.
right?
We've had like recently in the news, I think it was like last week, there's a very famous hiking trail area called Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, very famous.
Yes, very
The
famous.
IG photos taken of that are amazing.
Yes, for
But
influencers, it's beautiful.
Illegal.
It is
illegal.
currently illegal.
Really?
Yes, to go on that on that
Trail.
hike, on that trail. And one of the main reasons is because of the expense of the fire department having to save all the people that get stranded there, which just happened recently. Actually, like a week or so ago, somebody was stranded there and they had to go in by helicopter, which,
It's not cheap. It's not
it's
cheap.
not cheap
I
at all.
remember the expense that possibility of booking a helicopter tour. That was like a $500 ticket. I'm like, no.
Yeah, and this is a tour. This isn't like to go in and try to save
Rescue
somebody.
you.
Yes, and people don't realize. Yes, I need help. By the way, here's the bill. It's like, oh,
Oh goodness.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Err on the side of caution.
yes, please err on the side of caution. So that's for hiking. Hiking is great if you know where to go.
Yeah. Bug spray also.
Oh yes, and bug spray.
And big dude, I got eaten alive because I wasn't wearing any the first time that.
Yes, yes. Well, it depends. I mean, I'm impressed that I'm surprised because I get bitten a lot, but Max doesn't.
Everybody is a little bit different.
And I
Something
would have
about-
thought that you would have not gotten bit.
Oh no, they always bite me. Chuck doesn't get bit. It's,
see, what is that?
Unfair. It is unfair.
As you look to Max.
We look at Max.
I will say that on the topic of what to eat,
Oh, yes,
very
next.
important.
Now what to eat.
Most important topic: what to eat.
I was impressed. Something I didn't realize until being shown around by Julie is that I'm from New York originally,
Yeah.
and New Yorkers have a lot of pride food-wise
Of
in
course.
Local pizzeria, local bodega
Absolutely.
sandwiches. These, like, every bodega has their own spin on things. Every pizzeria supposedly has its own unique thread back to the authentic New York
Of
pizza
course.
slice. The equivalent, as far as I can tell, in Hawaii is the poke.
The poke.
And
Oh.
individual grocery stores will have poke that is of better or lesser quality, and locals will really know a lot about like
Which
where to
ones.
get fresh poke and which bodega, which deli, which grocery store has the best poke, and they
Yep.
will take a trek out to this grocery store
In
for
order
the,
to get it.
the poke.
Yes.
And having tried it, I can attest that there is better and lesser poke out there.
I mean, the food in Hawaii is really interesting because the influence from especially Asian cultures is huge and delicious.
Oh, yes.
Because they put their own spin on it, right?
Yes.
So you get it like my husband's favorite thing to do is go to Rainbow
Rainbow Drive-In.
and then
Rainbow
order the
Drive-In.
mixed plate, which is a bunch of different meat on. Yes, it's just meat and
Meat with
mac
rice
salad.
and mac salad. Yep.
So yeah,
Or you can only get mac salad. You don't need to get rice.
that's true. No, he likes the mix.
Oh, okay.
Of course, gotta do it. Gotta do it. But my favorite in Hawaii is shave ice.
Oh yes, the shave
course.
ice. Yes,
Oh,
with or without azuki beans, with or
Right.
without ice cream and azuki beans,
And the mochi.
Oh yeah, and the mochi. Yeah.
Sounds,
get mochi in
sounds almost Taiwanese.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
right?
it is. Oh yeah, here in Taiwan.
I personally think that they could take the Hawaiian style shave ice and bring it here to a night market, and I think they'd make bank.
I thought they did have it here.
No, I've never seen it.
Huh.
But why not? Because Taiwanese people love to eat ice.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
in the winter.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see the ice places like packed.
For
Weirdly,
sure.
these people
For
are
sure.
like, oh, superstitious. Don't, or not the word, Chinese medicine, traditional medicine. You can't eat cold right now. And still the ice place is
Oh
packed.
yeah. People don't listen to that.
But right. Okay. So if you haven't visited Hawaii, it is one of my favorite places in the world. I intend on retiring there.
I think a lot of
Join the
people do.
military.
Maybe, right? But yeah, it's a magical place.
Oh yeah, it's very magical, very nice, and like Taiwan, a lot of the local people will welcome you and
yeah.
take care of you.
Yeah, so nice. Thanks for geeking out with me again.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and thanks listeners for tuning in to Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and I'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Geek Out.